This season preview is brought to you by Manscaped's brand new Ultra Premium 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. This luxurious lather cleanses and nourishes in just one step. Using coconut water, green tea, and aloe, this non-greasy daily formula is naturally hydrating and rich in antioxidants to revitalize the look and feel of your hair. So head on over to manscaped.com and use the promo code SACCITY for 20% off and free worldwide shipping. The new Ultra Premium 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner from Manscaped. Take care of hair everywhere.
It's time to break down the Atlanta Falcons. After finishing 7-10 last year in the NFC South, the Falcons return with, well, a vengeance? With the guy named Marcus Mariota leading the way at quarterback. Obviously, they drafted Desmond Ridder. We don't know if we're going to see him this season. But, Aaron, we'll start off right there with Marcus Mariota and this offense. What do you expect to see from Mariota this season and how he runs this Falcons offense?
Great choice of words there. I think you just said it. It's how he runs, right? It's him running the football, and I think that's what's going to make this team have a chance to win some games. And again, we all know that I don't think very highly of the Atlanta Falcons, but I think with Marcus Mariota, his ability to move in and out of the pocket is going to be the one reason why they are able to capture some wins. He's going to have to be able to get outside the pocket and create plays to a bunch of receivers that really don't have a resume. I'm talking about Drake London, Alameda, whatever his last name, Zacchaeus. Brian Edwards, who was kind of an outcast with Vegas and the Raiders, kind of moves over here and looking for a resurgence in his career or something to step out and start to be a number one. So I think it's up to Marcus Mariota to make plays. And we've seen it before. It's not like Marcus Mariota has never been on the football field. He's created plays before. He's had winning records in Tennessee. He's been over 500. He's thrown for 3,500 yards. And he had a really good season with 26 touchdowns and 9 interceptions back in 2016. So is it in him? I do think he has the ability to make plays, but it's going to be about sustaining that success throughout the course of the season. And is he going to be able to be consistent enough to make those plays when they need it most, right? When we're talking about when games are on the line with a very young team and being that leader, it's going to require Mariota to be extra special.
Yeah, I think something that is that we have to consider here is what this offense is going to actually look like with now the addition of Drake London. You have Kyle Pitts there, one of the better tight ends in the NFL. Cordero Patterson's still there. What do you think what do you think the identity? And I know I don't normally double down on these on one group, but I want to do it here with the Falcons. What is this identity of the Falcons offense this year? What do you think it's going to really look like? Is it going to be pass heavy? Is it going to be run heavy? Does it matter?
I think it matters, but I don't know that we have an answer to that yet. And it's partly because the offensive line play has been so bad. They don't really have a lot up front. And so the run game, we expect it not to be as successful as maybe we've seen it with Matt Ryan. And then you also have questions at the quarterback position. So you're like, okay, we can't really point to the passing game to get us out of these terrible situations that we're in. So I think it's kind of the unknown. I think it's one of those things where we're not really sure going into week one what kind of team this is going to be, especially on the offensive side of the football, because we don't know if they're going to have to rely heavily on the pass. We don't know if they're going to be able to have some success running the football. I think they want to be a run-first team. I think most teams want to be a run-first team. But I don't know that the Falcons have the personnel groupings to do that. Cordero Patterson's another year older. Tyler Allgeier's a rookie. And then poor offensive line play is going to force them into third and longs, second and longs, and it's going to put them behind the sticks, and it's going to force them to pass the ball a little bit more. So if I had to lean one way, I would say they're going to have to be a pass-first team, being behind in a lot of games and having Marcus Mariota bail them out. But I don't know that this team offensively really has the personnel to do things like that.
Yeah. And okay, I'm going to do it. I'm sorry. I'm going to do it. I'm going to triple down. If this never mind. I'm going to go to the defense side of the ball here with obviously last season, one of the better players on this team and arguably one of the best team players in the NFL, and A.J. Terrell at cornerback for this team really led the way. Who on defense, or maybe what position group for the Falcons has to step up if this team needs to have, or to give this team a chance? What position group has to step up for this defense?
Yeah, it's tough when you're talking about teams like this because they're so young and they don't really have the talent. When you ask, what do they have to do to step up to maybe surprise us? I think we're talking about a small number of wins going into a slightly bigger number of wins, but not really that big anyways. I'll stay there. I'll stay with the defensive backs. You mentioned them. I think bringing in Casey Hayward, a veteran, shout out South Georgia, bringing in a veteran like Casey Hayward is going to allow this team to maybe do some things up front that they weren't able or didn't think they'd be able to do at first. You have a lockdown that might allow them to cover a little bit more man-to-man coverage on the back end and be able to blitz and create more pressures up front. They spent a ton of draft picks on linebackers. I think they drafted 3 linebackers and Ebiketie, Anderson, and then D'Angelo Malone this year. And that is going to obviously show, right? They're young, so they're going to have to just say, go out and get the quarterback. We're not asking you to scheme up a lot. We're not asking you to drop in cover 6 or cloud coverage or, rover, crawl, play up by the safety so the safety can come play down in the box. We're not asking you to do a whole lot schematically. We're asking you just to go make plays. And I think that'll help the young guys, but they're not going to be able to create that much pressure. And I think that's going to be the problem. You only got Grady Jarrett up front, the rest of the guys, and it's Taquan Graham and guys like that don't really have the experience nor really the abilities to get to the quarterback. So they're going to have to find ways to create pressure up front so that those back end guys can jump some routes and make plays and get their offense some more possession. So I really look for those DBs to be left out on an island a lot. I expect Atlanta to blitz a lot. Dean Pease, he kind of throughout his career, he's kind of gone up and down with whether he blitzes or not. I think this scheme this year is going to have to be one that requires a lot of blitzing because I think they have to generate pressure to get some extra possessions for that offense because they're going to need it.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at the rest of the NFC South and the wide receivers that they're going to have to play against, and you talk about how the biggest thing on this defense and who has to step up is the cornerback position and the DBs. It's like you have you're going up against Mike Evans 2 times a year. You're going up against DJ Moore 2 times a year. We don't know if Michael Thomas is going to come back and to be what he used to be, but he's also another weapon you have to watch out for, and what the rest of the weapons that the Saints have. And it's definitely one of the best. This division is definitely one of the best in terms of wide receiver talent when you look at the Saints, Panthers, and Bucks. So if the Falcons are going to have any chance to succeed this season, their secondary is going to have to step up and also get to the quarterback because there are some good quarterbacks in this division as well. When we look at what to watch for this season, I'm going to kind of throw in here, and it's kind of the obvious answer. It's, does Marcus Mariota play all season long? I feel like that's what you have to watch. Like, there's 2 things you have to watch for this season for the Falcons. One, the obvious one, you're watching for the development, you're watching for the growth of their young players, you're watching to see how they progress through the season. But really, all eyes are on that quarterback position and to whether or not Desmond Ridder plays this season, and if Marcus Mariota can hold down the starting quarterback position for the Falcons. That's what we have to keep an eye out for. Aaron, is that something that's on your mind when you're watching this Falcons team? I know you're close by there, and there's a lot of chatter and buzz going around the Falcons camp. So is that what you're watching?
Yeah, I think most people think it's a matter of time, right? When does Desmond Ridder get to play? I don't think anybody really views Marcus Mariota as the long-term answer. And I think when you're in a transition period, that's always hard as a football team because you don't want to walk into a season and say, we don't have a chance to win. Our future is sitting on the bench. We just put this guy in here because he's a veteran and he's had some experiences. But we know ultimately at the end of the season, it's going to be Desmond Ridder getting the opportunity to prove that he's the long-term answer. And I think that's what makes it tough. As a fan, you want to see your team win. But as a fan, you also want to see your team have a bright future. If you ask the Kansas City Chiefs, starting Alex Smith for one more season so Patrick Mahomes can be Patrick Mahomes, would they take it? They're going to say yes. If you ask the Chargers, it was going into the season with Tyrod Taylor the right move if Justin Herbert was going to play the way that he's playing now? And the answer is going to be yes. So all these guys are looking to be the next Josh Allen, the next Patrick Mahomes, the next Justin Herbert, where we're lauding them as one of the best quarterbacks in football. So I think Atlanta fans are going to be happy if that's Desmond Ridder. If they're willing to sacrifice 2022 if Desmond Ridder is going to be one of those guys. And I think that's kind of what we're watching for. We're trying to see when is the appropriate time to put in Desmond Ridder. And I know I've been pretty bullish in the past on this show about starting rookie quarterbacks right away. Most of the time that is with young quarterbacks that are high draft picks, that are first round draft talents that you don't have time to wait. You got to find out if they're the guy right away. I think this is a little bit different. I do think Desmond Ridder has some time, and that the Atlanta Falcons are not in a win now situation. So they don't have the roster to win now with a quarterback that's on a rookie deal, but it allows Desmond to learn behind Marcus Mariota, a veteran, and then grow and feel comfortable getting into the game. Maybe when the season's over and there's not so much pressure on trying to win as there is in the NFL. So I'm looking forward to when that time comes, and I don't know when that is going to be. It's going to be something we talk about all year as the Atlanta Falcons continue to lose games, as we'll get into when we talk about our season schedules and where we kind of have them breaking down. But it's going to be that's what you hit it right on the head. That's exactly what everybody's watching for.
Yeah, well, surprise. That's kind of where I'm going next. I know that we normally have a list, a rundown of things that we're going to go from one to another, but that's what I'm going to transition to right now is the Falcons schedule. And that's my question I want to ask. If you could peg one spot in this season for Desmond Ridder to show up, where would be I know we got prop bets in this a little bit too, but where's your locked and loaded Desmond Ridder is starting at this point of the season?
I don't know that there's a spot. I don't know that I can pick out one particular spot or game. Their schedule is pretty scattered. When you look at the weakest part of the schedule that my mind comes to is right after the Week 9 game. But I thought that was a little early. But it's at Carolina in prime time, Chicago, and Washington. That's probably the weakest 3-game stretch. And then you go Pittsburgh. If you want to call Pittsburgh weak, it's still Pittsburgh. But that's the weakest stretch for me, that 4 games right there.
Is it too late to start them after the bye? Like if you get to that point where you only have 15, 16, 17, that's too, like, to me,
you're not starting them at New Orleans.
Well, that's the other thing I was going to consider as well is, like, to me, I feel like it's always better to maybe start your rookie quarterback after the bye if that's the route you're going to take. But because the Falcons have a later bye and they have only 15, 16, 17, and 18 left, that comes into play. But also the fact that you come out of the bye with arguably 4 of the best teams in the NFL in New Orleans, Baltimore, Arizona, and then finishing the season off at Tampa Bay. So maybe the Falcons don't get the luxury of playing Desmond Ridder or starting Desmond Ridder after the bye because, well, that is.
Could you imagine ruining a quarterback's career in 4 games? Like my thought process would be this: if you waited till then and you have 4 games left in the season, you're making a quarterback change. You're not winning, so you're not going to playoffs. Do you really want your rookie quarterback, to go into the offseason with no confidence because he just threw 8 picks in 4 games against 4 good teams? Or would you rather just finish with Marcus Mariota and come in next year with another offseason of Desmond Ridder and start him week 1, fresh season? So, excuse me. I think that's tough. I think if I start him week 9. Okay. But if, again, I'm not starting them if Mariota looks fine and they're just losing games because they're not good. I'm not gonna be in a rush to start Desmond Ridder this year. Yeah,
that's fair. And I know we joked around earlier on in the offseason about where Marcus Mariota lands on our overall quarterback power rankings, but I could easily see Marcus Mariota holding down the job in Atlanta all season long. That like I could see that. It would not shock me. And it may be good for the development of Desmond Ridder. We talk about what Marcus Mariota brings in terms of like the knowledge and what he's been through already. He can help out Desmond Ridder a lot, and it could be good for him. Let's wrap up, though, our Atlanta Falcons season preview with some money spending and some prop bets. Aaron, these are the prop bets I found for the Atlanta Falcons, our locked and loaded bets. This is where Aaron will pick out one of the locked and loaded bets. If he doesn't like any of them, he doesn't have to pick any of them. But there's 3 listed here. The worst record in the NFL is at plus 400 for the Atlanta Falcons. And then we have over 900.5 Kyle Pitts receiving yards at minus 115, and under 4.5 Drake London receiving touchdowns is at minus 105. So Aaron, there's only one plus money here for the Falcons, and we're gonna get to your standings in just a few moments as well, where you have them finishing. But does that worst record at plus 400 tempt you?
It does tempt me. It does tempt me. Tempts me so much. I'm taking it.
Ooh.
I would throw my money on that the Atlanta Falcons finish with the worst record in the NFL.
Ooh. And what's that? What might as well get into. What is that record?
I've said this all off season. This is not a knock to AJ's team. Well, yeah, it is a knock to AJ's team. They suck. They suck. Again, respectfully suck. They don't have the talent as some of the other teams. If you want to put the Chicago Bears, if you want to put the Jets, if you want to put the Jaguars, you go look at their rosters and you tell me how the Atlanta Falcons compare to those teams with the roster. So strictly looking at a roster perspective, from quarterback to line to weapons to defense, the Atlanta Falcons arguably have the worst roster in football. And therefore, I'm going to take them as the worst team in football. I have the Atlanta Falcons finishing 2-15. I know. They go from 7 wins last year, which was unexpected on my part. I will admit that. I didn't think they were going to be that good. But we have to remember they got rid of an arguably a Hall of Fame quarterback and did not improve anywhere else. They brought in Drake London, but they lost, a ton of other things on their team. They lost They lost Alua Khan. Ridley's not coming back. Julio Jones is 2 years removed now. Drake London is a rookie.
No Russell Gage.
They lose Russell Gage, who was their leading receiver last year. Again, you bring in a rookie in Drake London and no Ridley there. So you're hoping Kyle Pitts takes the next step, but is that enough? And I just don't think it is. I think the Atlanta Falcons struggle this year. I think they're 2-15. And yeah, I'm taking the plus money. Give me that plus 400 as worst record in football.
Yep. I have the Atlanta Falcons going 3-14. I have their 3 wins coming against Carolina. Well, coming against Carolina, Chicago, and Tampa Bay. I actually might pivot and go and match your 2-15 record, because I had them originally beating Carolina once this season. No. Sorry. Carolina, Chicago, and Tampa are my 3 wins. I'm going to keep.
No way they're beating Tampa Bay. There's no way
at the end of the season. At the end of the season, that last game when Tampa's done and they don't want to.
Doesn't matter. Their backups wouldn't beat Tampa Bay.
Oh,
they wouldn't beat Tampa Bay's backups.
It's fair. That's that. If that's the case, if I remove the Tampa Bay win and I'm already considering removing a Carolina win, that gives them 1 win against the Chicago Bears team, and then I would definitely also lock down that plus 400 money for the Falcons to be the worst team in the NFL. We will see how it progresses. We will see how the NFC South shakes up in our New Orleans Saints preview next.